everybody. Dan Illman, Mike here. The DRF race of the day for Thursday, September the 7th. Race number 9 at Kentucky Downs. It's the $500,000. They're running for peanuts on Thursday at Kentucky Downs. The restricted One Dreamer Stakes for fillies and mares. Let's take a look at this field. Please scan or click the QR code for race of the day access on your mobile devices. This is a race for fillies and mares going 1 mile and 70 yards, which have not won a stake in 2023. As you see, Mike, from the morning line, very wide open event. The 7-4 the flag is your 3-1 morning line favorite. Some of these horses have been pace compromised in their last races or so.
Yeah, that's true. And we'll see how that all plays out, because it looks like maybe another race where they might not go that fast early, Dan. I don't know. I guess For the Flag can win here, could certainly go favored in this race. You have the Chad Brown factor here with the 4 Haughty, who is probably just going to take money in here, on maybe a little bit on reputation, obviously on connections too. A graded stakes winner last year, hasn't been quite as good so far this year.
We throw up the Timeform US pace projector, and For the Flag, the number 7 should be forwardly placed. That is simply her game. She's been on the lead at the first call in her last 5 races. But Sister Luann last time out tried to rate in a second-level allowance race, and maybe it could be argued that she's slightly better when on the lead. So I'm not sure how fast they're going to go, but I think the 7 and the 8, they're going to be contesting it.
Yeah, I can see them both going forward for sure. Maybe, yeah, you're right, though. Maybe the pace all comes down to what does Jose Ortiz do with Sister Luann this time. They rated her behind a slow pace last time, and she just couldn't quite get there. Prior to that, they were using her speed.
If there is a pace battle, keep an eye on the 9, Candy Light. Note the LP flag. That means that she has the fastest Timeform US late pace figure. The one is Jubilee Bridge, coming into this race in excellent form, seeking her 3rd consecutive victory. Now, she had been running on synthetic, and she'd been running just fine on that surface. But recently, Michael Stidham got her back to turf, and her confidence has got to be sky high for her last couple of wins.
Yeah, I like that they got her back to grass, Danny. She was fine on the all-weather surface. It was kind of odd to me that she just lacked any kind of speed at all for the most part on that surface. She's been a much handier horse to me on the turf, and I just think she might be better on the surface. Those first 2 starts back in 2021 over in England, man, she looked really good. She ran well first time out. She looked really good to me, breaking her maiden, and then she missed all that time. And I like her getting back to turf. She's had 2 good trips in a row in those races, but I think she ran really well both times.
In from Horseshoe Indianapolis is the number 2 Present Moment. She's 20-1 on the morning line, but she's run well at big prices in the past, including her most recent start, where she was 42-1, and she ran a fine 4th in a stakes race in Indiana. That was kind of a race where she moved into the teeth of the pace, tired a little bit, and the runner-up came back to finish 2nd in a stake at Ellis Park with a 90 buyer. So she's been facing good company.
She has. That was a quality race she was in last time. I'm still questioning the figure for that race, Dan. It seems like everybody who finished up close in there ran a buyer top that day. So I'm not really sure that I believe that this filly improved as much as she did, and the other horses in there that ran 1 and 2. I'm not sure they improved it that much either, but maybe they did. And if they did, it makes this filly a contender in this race for sure.
Top connections for the 3, Sin Filter. This is going to be Todd Pletcher and Flavien Prat. This horse just missed last time out, went 3rd in a stakes race at Ellis Park, finishing just behind For the Flag. She's relatively lightly raced. I'm not sure we've seen her best yet after only 8 starts.
I agree with that, and I do respect the fact that she's really tactical, so she might get a really good trip in this race. We've seen this from Pletcher before, though, Dan. I mean, he doesn't get the credit he deserves, in my opinion, for the work he does with horses like this, who just aren't that good, but he finds the right spots for them and just sort of really brings out the best in them. It feels like that's what he's doing with this filly. We'll see how she handles Kentucky Downs. She could win here. I wouldn't take too short a price on her.
The 4 Haughty is similar to the 3 Sin Filter in the fact that she's very well connected with Chad Brown and Tyler Gaffalione, and she also has a good tactical speed. She won in gate-to-wire fashion 4 starts back in the Lake Placid last year, and maybe she's racing herself back into shape. She's only had 3 runs in 2023, and last time out she got wired by a decent horse in technical analysis. It was a slow-paced race. She kept on trying in between horses.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't really, I guess you could say she didn't really have a fair chance in that De La Rose last time. I don't know how well I thought she ran overall, but maybe there was enough of an excuse for her, Dan. I just don't love any of her 3 races this year. And then when you go back to last year, And yeah, she won a couple of stakes races that just kind of feel circumstantial to me. That Penn Oaks on a super soft turf course, which she obviously handled and maybe some others didn't. And then the Lake Placid, where they just handed it to her on a silver platter with nobody else going in there on a slow pace. I don't know. I've never been her biggest fan. I know that she could win here. I kind of felt like she'd be favored, and I'd rather bet somebody else.
She finished ahead of Evie Jets last time out. That horse came back, won the Boston Spa, a grade 2 with a 91 buyer. I think Via Reggio is very well entered in this race. She's only had 3 runs in North America, but she went pretty well in the Gamely, I thought. 2 starts back. She was only beaten 3 lengths that day by a hot horse in Macadamia. They stretched her all the way out last time out, and I think that distance might be a little far, and I think that ground was a little bit soft in a race that produced the Flower Bowl winner. Parnack returned to win with a 90 buyer.
Yeah, didn't want to hold the last one against her. There are plenty of excuses to be made for that. Her other races are fine, I guess. She did her best in the Gamely. She was just no match for those grade 1 horses and got a little piece of it there. The Keeneland win, it was off a layup, so I guess I don't want to be too hard on her, Dan. I mean, she ran fine there. Man, did she work really, really hard off of a really good trip to just get it done.
Irad Ortiz picks up the mount for the first time on the 5 Via Reggio. The 6 is Kate's Kingdom, another horse that might have had to move a little bit early in her most recent start. That was the grade 3 Trillium on the Tapeta surface at Woodbine, and they just walked on the lead, 25-3. 50 and change, made a run into the pace, understandably flattened out late. The 6th finisher came back to win an allowance there with a 90 buyer.
She did run fine last time. I guess the real question that you have to ask yourself, well, maybe it doesn't matter at all over this Kentucky Downs turf course because, you know, who knows how horses are going to handle it. But is this horse as good on turf as she is on the all-weather? Based on what she's done, especially lately, Dan, I think she's better on the all-weather surface. She's won once on turf in her life. That was her second career start against maiden $16,000 claimers. I think she might be better on the other surface.
And Jimmy Toner's a really good trainer, and he got the 7 for the flag in form, winning 3 consecutive races before earning a stakes placing last time out at Ellis Park, going a mile. Set a legitimate pace that day, just got tired at the end. The favorite ran her down in the final strides. Another horse, lightly raised, not sure we've seen her best. Think she's got to avoid a duel with the 8. I think she's a need the lead type.
I do too. She's really well bred, and I won't be surprised when she takes another step forward here for Toner, Dan. But your point's very well taken about the pace because they finally made her race a little bit last time at Ellis Park, and she ran well in there. She just couldn't quite hold on, but it's the first time that she ever really took any pressure on the lead. Those prior 3 wins, just no pressure at all, always in control, never faced a challenge and wired those fields. I think she's pretty good, but she is going to need the right kind of a trip, I think, to beat this field, and she's the morning line favorite.
The 8 is Sister Luann. Now, both of her lifetime victories have come on the lead. They tried something different last time out at Saratoga in a second-level allowance race. And all in all, I guess the trip's just fine. She's down inside in the pocket. She's going to get out and have every chance, but she just got wired in a slow-paced race. Maybe she could have been the one that got to the front with a more aggressive ride.
Yeah, certainly rating in this situation probably cost her a little bit. She's really game here. You know, you're right that both of her career wins have come when she's on the lead. To me, she's run fine without it. So I don't really think that she needs it. And I did think she ran pretty well last time. She'll probably be a fair enough price, to take a shot with.
Candy Light is the number 9. I was a little disappointed by her most recent effort, going a mile and an 1/8 at Laurel. It was a race. I know the pace wasn't very fast, but it's not like the other closers in that race were completely compromised at all. They were running on at the end, and Candy Light was just a little bit flat in between horses turning for home. Her prior races are okay. To me, she's the kind of mare that needs some pace. You saw that from the Timeform US late pace rating. Maybe she'll get it here.
It might set up the right way for her, and I guess if it does, she's a horse that you want to at least consider in this race. I'm kind of with you, though, Dan. I didn't like her last race very much. Thought she got a good trip in that spot. She should have been a lot closer at the end of that race. And so I kind of didn't like her that much, but maybe this thing will set up for her.
Joel Rosario back aboard. He's had success with Candy Light throughout her career. Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. It's top pick time for the $500,000 One Dreamer Stakes at Kentucky Downs on Thursday. I like where you're going. Jubilee Bridge is a horse with, I think, enough tactical speed to work out her own trip. Razor sharp form, good price.
Yeah, don't love the favorites in this race. Dan definitely did, wanted to look for alternatives to those horses, and I think this might be the right one. I really like her last two races. Really like her back on turf since they switched her back over, and she's very tactical.
I'm going to go with your second pick in here, the 4 Haughty. Last time out might have been pace compromise. I think she just fits very well from this class standpoint. I think she's going to work out a good trip. I like where Time Form US had her in third. I think if she's there turning into the stretch, then she's got to handle the Kentucky Downs configuration, which is just a whole other monkey wrench into the works, but I'll take her. I think she's consistent enough. 1-4-3-5 for Mike, 4-7-3-5 for me in the One Dreamer on Thursday at Kentucky Downs. Good luck.